Hello, everybody. I welcome you all to another enthralling episode of Beyond Boundaries. This talk show is brought to you by Worldwide Scholarly Alliance in partnership with Silver Zone Olympiads. It's here we create a space for all the edu leaders who are doing so much in the field of education. It's here we give them a platform to share unki kahani, unhi ki zubani. I'm Anushri, your host, and today I'm here at the Sri Ram Universal School, Greater Noida West. I'm in the presence of Ms. Jyoti Roy, the principal, Junior School. Welcome, ma'am. Ma'am here is an IT professional turned educator. I mean, that's amazing, right? She's known as an administrator, innovator, and academician. Ma'am, over to you. How do you feel?
Namaste. Thank you so much, Anushri, for that beautiful introduction. And sometimes you get to know about yourself more when somebody is reading your introduction. So I really love going through that. And thank you for giving this opportunity, because sometimes, आपकी कहानी, आपकी जुबानी सुनाने के लिए भी कोई एक मौका चाहिए होता है. Thank you so much for giving that to me.
It's our honor, ma'am, to be here in your presence with your 20 plus years of experience. I'm sure I'm going to take away a lot of learnings from you today.
I hope so.
So, ma'am, let's begin. And this one question is bothering me a lot. IT professional turned educator. How did that happen?
Okay, so if you listen to my story, it's full of turns and curves, right? So when I was a student in school, I always, I used to find medical field very glamorous. And whenever I used to see these doctors in their white coats, I used to always feel that, I want to be a doctor. So when I completed my schooling and I went for this competitive exam, I couldn't get through the first time. So I then decided to take on literature and then give it another year. And that's when I just, tried my hands on programming, and I started exploring that field. And then I realized that was my calling, because I used to find it so interesting. It was something so tangible that you write a program and you can see it happening. Like, you could control actions on a thing. So, and always I had a dream of becoming an animator, which I could not. So that still kept aside as my dream unfulfilled. But yes, so that was when I started testing my hands on it. And then I realized that, I had the aptitude for it. And I never gave my DPMT or CPMT, that used to be the medical test there.
Yeah.
So I never gave that again. And that's when I started my course. After some time, when you start working in an organization and when you are doing things there, it does get monotonous after a while. So even if learning coding was something great, but once you are in corporate, so I was with ITC, and then there I realized that you take care of one part of it, and which used to be suppose systems analysis. So that becomes little monotonous. So that was my journey as.
And then suddenly you woke up कि आज मुझे teacher बनना है.
नहीं, उसके पीछे भी कहानी है. So right after my college, I was with LSR and I was doing literature. Then from there, that was my final year.
Okay.
And our principal, Mrs. Meenakshi Gopinath, she was there in our farewell party, and she just announced that, there is the Sri Ram School, because it was the same group.
Yes.
So she said that they're looking for some creative teachers to come on board, and fresh ones, so that, they are... they're with fresh ideas and trainable and all that. So why don't you go and try out? So it was with my principal's recommendation that I reached the Sri Ram school, and I went through the interview. But when I was going for that, let me tell you one thing, I was not a teacher by choice initially.
Okay.
So when I was going for that interview, my father, I told him that, why should I go for that interview? I don't want to be a teacher. And as I said, doctor was glamorous, then IT was glamorous, corporate was glamorous, teacher was never a glamorous job. So I said that no, I don't want to be a teacher. So he said, first you grab the opportunity. First you grab the letter in your hand. What are you rejecting? You don't have anything in your hand.
Yeah.
So first you get it. If you get through, then you say, I am not doing this. You at least experience the interview and all that.
Yes, yes.
And I think, there's this supreme power who knows everything and who puts you in the correct place at the correct time. So I went there and I went through the interviews and everything and got through. And when I started working, I was very young at that time, right after college. So when I was there, that 1 year transformed my life. When I was with children and when the kind of love and affection and connect that I could make with them. But surely I was very young at that time. So, but then I moved back because I had to pursue my computer studies. So I had to go back to that field, worked there for 7 years. But, this memory of 1 year stayed on with me. And after 7 years, then I decided to come back to the field.
So it was like a calling, a divine calling that pulled you back.
So when I was coming back to this field, there were my friends who always, they were not encouraging me that you should go and be a teacher, because they said that IT field is something that you leave it today and tomorrow you want to come back, you can't, because you have to then refresh your skills. It's ever changing. So you have to refresh your skills and do some new courses to come back to the field. And so that was when I decided. So there were two things. As I said, I was a teacher by chance. So that was one thing, that I could have gone to any other place and done something else. I had my child also, who was very young at that time, and I wanted to have some time for him too. So that was the combination that I came. Then I could only think of Shriram because I had experienced my time there. So इसलिए फिर मैं वापस वहाँ गई, और लक अच्छा था कि उस समय वहाँ पे रिक्वायरमेंट भी थी, and I got through.
So it's wonderful. Yeah.
Ever since then.
Yeah, I mean, I'm recalling like कैसे dots join हुए और आप वहाँ पहुँचे जहाँ आपको होना
चाहिए था, बिल्कुल.
So now sitting here today, you have no regrets, no war.
No, not at all. Not even a single day I have regretted my decision. And even after joining my school, because when I joined the Shriram school, and I was there as an ICT coordinator. So I felt I have done coding and everything, and how is it going to be a difficult task for me here? I had to relearn. I had to relearn a lot, because teaching children is very different. You may be great in your field, but you have to come down to their level. Then you have to again unlearn, relearn. Then only you can deal with them. So ever since then, I have realized that the creativity that I had, that high you get out of doing anything creative, thinking of something new, and that flexibility of doing something new that the Shriram school always provided me with. So then I realized that this was the field where I was happy every single day, because I was surrounded by children and I could think of new things for them, because children, they get bored very easily.
Yeah.
So you have to, and it's, you have to keep thinking, you have to explore, you have to find new things. Otherwise, you cannot enthuse them, you will lose their interest completely.
Absolutely. They keep you on your toes.
Absolutely. So ever since I joined this field, not even a single day of regret. And I was really lucky that I got the platform also such that, I had the flexibility of trying new things. There was complete trust put on you. So I was really lucky on that part.
So ma'am, coming to what does being a teacher mean to you? I mean, the attributes and traits associated to being a teacher. So do you agree to them, or do you have something additional to talk about?
So I think, the first thing that a teacher has to have is a connect with children. If you have that connect once, if you succeed in making that connect, then getting through any concept, anything, it's a cakewalk. because it's very, very simple afterwards, because then you have got them on your side.
Ma'am, do you believe a teacher should be know-it-all?
Not at all, not at all. So I will give you an example, like when I was a teacher, and there were these some children, they will always, and IT is one field, they will always be 10 step ahead of you. So they would come back and they would talk about things that, I may not be aware of, because, after a while you kind of disconnect. What you do. So they would come up with things that they are doing and what they have learned online or whatever. And I used to be blown by that, and I would always ask them to take a session with the class, and it was peer tutoring. And there was one session we used to have where these children used to train their peers on that particular thing. And slowly we started building a club. And that's when we realized that, there is so much to do.
Yeah.
And how IT can actually bridge the gap in so many ways. And these children being elder ones, they could do something for the younger children. So they had projects where they were working for the younger children there. So it was amazing. I mean, not even a single day of my teaching life which I feel I have not enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And my children are still connected with me, and they keep telling me about the great things that they are doing all around the world.
So, ma'am, you were able to surface through it very easily. You took it as an opportunity for learning for students. Not every teacher is, capable enough of accepting कि मुझे तो ये नहीं पता मैं कैसे बच्चों को करूँ. तो for those teachers, what advice will you give?
So I think, it's just stress that you're creating for yourself. You become a student with your students, and it becomes very easy in the classroom. Children also, they get that sense of pride in teaching you. They feel, oh wow, I could tell this to my teacher. And teacher is no different. She also, if she can tell that she does not know this thing, I can also easily say that, Otherwise, children also feel very hesitant in sharing that I don't know this. Right? So
absolutely.
So the teachers, if they are open in accepting their whatever they are, and we are, till the time we are not lifelong learners, we cannot bring up lifelong learners, and that one can become only and only if you accept the fact that you don't know everything.
Very true, very true. What deep words, ma'am. So, ma'am, what I know of you is that you are known as a creative leader, as an innovator. How do you measure to that?
Okay, so as I said that, I feel children need newness all the time.
Yeah.
And as educators, we also have to strive towards that. Because what happens, most of the times, there are teachers who may be teaching the same subject, same topics year after year to different batches. So every time you feel that, what if I'm teaching the same thing but the batch is new. Okay, so I find myself creative and innovative because I have always looked towards finding something new every year.
No, even on the same topic.
Yes, even if the batch is different, I have to find newness for myself also. Yeah. And also maybe there was something that we did last time did not work so well, so I could think of, and there are so many good things now available online. All around the world there are so many good things happening, and now you have teacher networks, you have it's all open. Resources endless. So if you explore that and if you bring that into your teaching, you can imagine how, and your learner is also changing. Last year, the batch that came to me was exposed to this much. The batch that's coming to me this year is exposed to this much. So till the time I don't become innovative, I am not creative, I will not be able to hold their interest or...
Any example that comes to your mind for exactly this?
Okay, so for example, if I was doing a particular topic, let's say we were doing a project, and where we were talking about, there was this IT, we used to have integrated projects. So there was English, where we were talking about rebus stories.
Okay.
and there was ICT, where we were teaching them word processing skills. The year before, when we were doing that, we simply made them do a simple story, and where we just got them to create a bookmark or something like that. Next year, when we were doing this particular thing, the same thing could be done in that format, like a rebus story, and there was a connection also there.
Yeah.
Then after that, when I realized that, and that was done in a group work. So this time, if we are doing it in a particular way, suppose, when Excel they are learning, if they are learning it in a very traditional way, next year, you can try out mosaic painting through Excel. So you are changing. So it's like,
It's an idea.
it's something that you have to keep thinking how you can enthuse the children, how you can make drabby topics interesting. I also, as a teacher, I have taught maths, I've taught Hindi, I've taught research and referral, I've taught contemporary studies. Whatever I did, that was a challenge
Yeah.
thrown at me, and I have become a student once again, explored it,
Yeah.
and then found those creative ways to engage my children.
So, ma'am, when you, what I have seen is whenever a teacher does slightly different from the curriculum or a set procedure, parents are not comfortable of it. They have certain expectations, they have certain confusion and dilemma and apprehension also. So, for everything that you do, how do you bring parents on board?
Yeah, so that's a very, very tough call, and that's the biggest challenge that as teachers or even school administrators we have, that any change you are bringing in to bring parents on board, because they have to believe in you. Whatever you are doing, they have to have that trust in you. And building that trust takes time. So once you have their trust and they know whatever you are doing is good for the children, they do come along. And nowadays, in fact, it's becoming a little easier for younger children, because their parents actually want exposure of all kinds for them. So it's not so difficult for this age group. But yes, for elder ones, because examinations, their academic pressure, all of it takes over. So that's where it becomes little challenging, but you just have to explain it to them. Sometimes it does happen, there is a child who is very capable for a particular task, but the parents are not happy, the child taking out time from studies and doing this. So then we counsel the parents also, because these days learning, just education is not only about reading and
It's
writing.
holistic
and
development.
it has to be holistic. If till the time the child is not able to, be an effective communicator, till the time the child is not doing some critical thinking, when these projects are done, these are the kind of things that they learn, collaboration. So all of it comes when they are exposed to different things, and everything that goes around, like your assembly, your trips, everything brings a lot of learning in a different way, and all of it builds the character of the child. So slowly, I think young parents are also aware of it, and they are quite forthcoming for it. But yes, if examinations are around, then that's a challenge. It's a challenge.
So, ma'am, you talked about the capabilities and capacities of students. I firmly believe in multiple intelligences. What is your take on that?
Well, I think learning is all about taking care of multiple intelligences. You are wired one way, I'm wired another way, and so forth. So till the time I don't learn the way you are teaching me, I will not learn. So if you want a kinesthetic learner to be in one place, sitting in one, tied to a seat and write for you a color or something, that's not going to help the child at all. So when we have our training sessions for the children, for teachers, we introduce them to all these multiple intelligences and the way. So every task that is done in the classroom, the challenge is thrown to the teacher that how you can involve multiple intelligences in that particular task. So there should be some, even while they are submitting any work, how you can have the work submitted in various ways. I mean, what are you trying to do through that activity? You're trying to test the understanding of the child, the concept, or maybe you're trying to get across a particular concept. So if that is something, your objective should be clear. How you do it is entirely different. You are doing a skit and there you are observing that, the children. So that's one challenge in today's time, because teaching in conventional ways does not really require a lot of effort. But teaching in these ways where you are taking care of each child, when you are, always being careful about the learning style that the child has. And first of all, to find out what is the learning style of my students. First of all, you need to find out what is your learning style as a student. So this really helps in a school setup, and I think this is something that the world is coming to terms with now, and slowly most of the schools and most of the teachers are at least trained for that. In the classroom, how much of it is getting implemented is one thing. So here at the Shri Ram Universal School, we do take care of that, teachers are following the multiple intelligence thing. They're adapting their topic to different needs, so there is differentiated learning happening there. So these are the kind of things that teachers.
मैम इसमें ना एक और चैलेंज आता है अभी एज अ टीचर फॉर पास्ट 20 years you have noticed this child is very good with athletics और स्पोर्ट्स और कंप्यूटर में बहुत दिमाग है. Parents want the child to be a doctor.
Yeah.
क्योंकि वो मेडिकली भी मतलब biology also he does very nice. So how do you help the child here? The child is coming to you, ma'am मुझे तो ये करना है, parents का ये कहना है. तो in these 20 years, I'm sure you've come across this.
Many a times. One was very recent. So it's very heartbreaking sometimes that the child is good and is enjoying that particular bit. But, with going with our education system, and right now, whatever the state is, we end up finding a middle path. So we convince the parent to some extent. Okay. We convince the child to some extent. And we find a middle path where, some adjustments if required, maybe, for some of the tests which are going to happen, which are internal, so that can be done later on. Some those kind of adjustments which are not going to harm the academic journey of the child, and all of it is internal, so that can be handled. But yes, if it is a major exam, then definitely that call has to be taken by the parent. So we do the counseling, and that's what.
Yeah, because with multiple intelligences, this also comes up,
Yes.
This is challenge. Yeah.
Fortunately, जो आज के टाइम के पेरेंट्स हैं वो somehow इतना ज़्यादा एक्सपोजर है इस बात के बारे में अब वो देख भी रहे हैं ना कि बहुत सारे बच्चे हैं जो कि और फील्ड्स भी हैं जहाँ बहुत अच्छा कर रहे हैं, और जहाँ पर इतना स्ट्रगल भी अभी नहीं है, क्योंकि सबको पता है कि मेडिकल फील्ड में, इंजीनियरिंग में कितना सैचुरेशन है, कितना स्ट्रगल है, एवरीवन इज अवेयर ऑफ. तो अब आज की डेट में एटलीस्ट मेट्रो सिटीज़ में ये प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, क्योंकि यहाँ पर पेरेंट अब बहुत हद तक ये समझ चुके हैं कि बच्चा जो भी करेगा उसमें वो अच्छा कर सकता है.
Yeah, we just need to support the child.
Yes.
And the school is ready.
Yeah, so just that counseling part is something that is required if any parent is. Sometimes it happens that, out of the two parents, one parent is quite understanding, the other parent needs that little counseling. So we do.
Ma'am, that happens in your school? Like frequently, on frequent basis?
Yeah, so if wherever we feel that, there is some mismatch somewhere, whatever, so that we have a school counselor on board. So one can seek an appointment and come and meet, and so
wonderful.
That's there.
So everything under one
for
roof.
Children, for children also we have that facility. So that counseling is there, but however, right now we've not come across any major concerns as such, because all the people who are here, they've mostly come to our school because we believe in holistic education. So they also have that mindset and they have that alignment with the ethos of the school. So far. But yes, when I was with the Shri Ram school there, we have faced such problems. But finally, and the parent body there is very understanding. They all come from that background that, they understand how most of the children there
They trust you.
yeah, and most of the children, I mean, if you look at our alma mater, they're all the people, they've gone to such diversified fields and they are doing wonders in their fields. So it's just the personality that you build, the confidence that you give, the thinking capacity that you built on, and wherever they are, they make a mark for them.
So basically what needs to be told to students and parents is, kuch bhi karo, jo bhi karo, give it 100%.
Absolutely.
And success is yours.
Absolutely. So, if you are grounded, if you have your values in place, that's why Shri Ram schools are known for their value-based education, because we always try to help the child imbibe these values, which are going to keep the child grounded at all times, but at the same time giving them global perspective that, okay, fine, exposure to all kinds of things. So wherever they go, then they make a mark. So you can make out that, okay, fine, if there's a group sitting, that this child has had a good grooming. Different schools, whether it's parenting or school grooming, this is what at the end matters. Your education, your grades don't matter at all. Don't matter so much. Ultimately, how you carry yourselves, how expressive you are, what are your communication skills, what kind of thinker you are, what kind of a problem solver you are, all of it matters.
That matters, yeah. So ma'am, your love for technology is evident. But do you also see the downside of it, and especially in education and for students?
Absolutely.
So if there is a downside, then as a school, how would you take up this challenge and find a solution to it? Because parents are perturbed.
Absolutely. As they say that science is a good slave but not a good master. And we've made it our master these days, because children are born and you provide them with a device, handheld device. Parents have sat here for their interactions where I have got to know that 2 hours the child is on the device, 2 hours to 4 hours. So, so that's one side where, so any excess of anything is bad. It is like a tool. Like a knife can be used for cutting vegetables and it's such a useful tool, but it can be used to
harm someone,
right? So technology is good. The way we use it makes it good or bad. So
आप junior school में हैं, तो ये how would you train your child as young as maybe 5 years old, 6 years old कि बच्चा, this is not right, this is right. तो वो कैसे होता है?
Yeah, so we have this, we have an ongoing session. Cyber safety is what we take it as. However, it also has screen time and parental supervision and your, not clicking links, whatever comes on your phone or whatever. So we start training them from the very beginning, as much they can understand. So if they know that, taking a toffee from a stranger is bad, then, interacting with a stranger online is also bad. So in the same, we talk about screen time. And then they do an exercise where they are calculating the screen time they have, because sometimes what they feel that if they are on the computer, that's their screen time. So now, how much time phone, how much time on TV, how much time on the computer or whatever. When you calculate all of it, so the teacher does it. For younger children, it's not easy to understand what it is. So then you tell them, okay, this is what it is coming out to be. So what do you think? And when you talk to the children, they come up with answers themselves. They know it, that, okay, what can it do? It can harm my eyes. So why do you spend so much time on it? So sometimes they don't go out to play. Sometimes parents are not available. So there are different reasons over there. So we then have sessions for parents where we tell them about the time that they can give to the child, the screen time, plus if there is any net nanny kind of a thing that they can install, so that if the child is class 4 or 5 who are very smart in accessing the net or whatever, and you don't get to know, so those kind of apps and utilities we tell them about. Also, strategies like 20-20-20 rule, where you tell the child that, okay, fine, after every 20 minutes, you must be doing this and this. And believe me, they take each of this, because this rule, we don't give them just like that. First, we talk about it, let it come from them. Okay, and then they talk about the things, and slowly. So for younger children, it is only the screen time that we talk about, and also that nothing comes for free. So if they get excited, they get very they click on these bananas or whatever, something, so that we take care of.
So ma'am, what I love about this is कि आप मना नहीं कर रहे हैं,
नहीं,
क्योंकि मना नहीं कर सकते,
नहीं सकते हो आप, क्योंकि अगर आप मना कर भी रहे हैं तो वो इफेक्टिव नहीं होगा, बिकॉज द रीजन व्हाई इट इज देयर इज सम सॉलिड रीजन बिहाइंड दैट. So to come out of it, you need an even more solid reason. So you have to sometimes scare them off. Sometimes we do also talk about very extreme things that
The
can
side
happen, right? So heavy specs that might, when you will be playing, you might. But then you have to be very sensitive towards people who are wearing specs. So you can't even talk about it like something different or whatever.
Wow, so it's a challenge, and I believe your school is taking it up beautifully.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
With that, ma'am, you've been awarded with so many accolades. And please, I would like to know, the audience would like to know what these awards were. Why were you endowed with them? How's your journey? How do you feel about it?
I feel very, very proud of being awarded, because I have been with the Shri Ram schools since the very beginning, and that's one place I call my home away from home, because I also feel somewhere it connects very well with my upbringing, the kind of value systems that we have been raised. So I find a sync between that. And so when I came to this school, and I actually explored every horizon, and I have been very open to learning whatever came my way. As I said that, different challenges came my way, but at all times I have tried to find something new, do something new. In fact, there are two of these mega events that are now well known all over the world. They are so you have to think.
Yeah.
So my school recognized that, and our founder, Mrs. Manju Bharatram Award. So that was something that I was bestowed upon, that you can see out there. That's my most prized possession. And then there was another one which I was awarded for distinguished contribution towards elementary education.
Okay, wonderful, ma'am. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
It feels, I'm feeling lucky to be here in your presence.
No, I'm really blessed to have you here. Thank you.
Yeah. So with awards also comes responsibilities. You now want to live up to that name. So how has the journey been after the awards?
So if I tell you truthfully, the award did not come anywhere in my, so even if the award wasn't there, my dedication, my passion was where it was. And after getting the award, yes, it recognizes what you've done. It's kind of an acknowledgement. But after that also, I have always tried to, yes, one has to, if you get Mrs. Manju Bharatram Award, so then you have to live up to that name, and you have to ensure that, whatever you're doing is, going in the correct direction, and what vision she had for this school, we are following that. So yes, it is a challenge, but I just try. I try my best.
Your best, absolutely. Ma'am, you talk a lot about value systems, values, morals. So how is this school Indian? Like, how is it like Indian in nature, in perspectives, in ideologies?
Okay, so when we were setting these rules, the values for the school, I was part of the school at that time also. And we felt that, before everything else, one has to have pride in one's own heritage. So that was the time when there was a lot of Western influence in affluent families, like the Shriram school mostly has people from there, they used to have at that time. So that Western influence was showing up in the children also. And more so, like when even they were doing creative writing, they would use Western names rather than Indian names. They would, so there was a lot of influence of Greek mythology when, if you see what they are reading and all that. So that was one thing when we felt that, children have to take pride in being an Indian first of all. And that's when we started with our Namaste. So we greet everyone with Namaste. And now it's ingrained in the system, everybody. And you would see the guard, straight from the guard to these, to bhaiyas, to every single child, every teacher, every administrator. We use this as our medium of greeting. So that's one thing. Then otherwise also, whatever we do, we have a touch of Indianness there. So, for example, if you have any of the events, we started with a Tika.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and each
that's
festival.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Our culture and heritage is we're losing it. And it's so beautiful, so enigmatic. So these little things that you do, they actually end up making a different, a big change.
Absolutely.
And parents are on board for this?
Yes, they love it. They all have come back telling us that we are very, very happy about this because, at the end of the day, we all are Indians. And so the global perspective is coming. The children are going to go to different places in the world. They are going to make a name for themselves. They're going to do extraordinary things out there. But at the same time, remaining grounded to their roots is also very important because being a good human is also that important. So that's what we try to inculcate in our students through these values. So we have integrity, we have sensitivity. So when we talk of integrity, we talk it in a wholesome manner. When we talk of sensitivity, it is again wholesome. It's sensitive towards fellow beings, towards environment, towards the objects around you. So it takes care of all the things that you would really want your children to grow up with.
Teaching nowadays is no more an occupation. It's no more a job. It's a lifestyle. So any thoughts on that, please?
So when I was joining teaching, so Mrs. Manju Batram was when I reached my final round, she was the one who took my thing and she asked me one thing, Jyoti, why do you want to leave corporate and come to teaching? So I said, it's becoming very monotonous there. So she said, don't you think teaching children every day is also going to become like that? By next year, you might feel bored. So my only answer to her was that I've been here for a week and what I'm seeing is that every single day is different. And with children, there cannot be any day which is the same. So being a teacher is a challenge because you have to deal with that changing, that you have to enthuse, you have to engage those children who are fond of change. So you cannot engage them with the same old method every day. So you have to find newness, you have to find something great to get their attention. And that's when you end up spending 24 hours looking for things, thinking about things, and being prepared for the next day to face that class. So I think it's a lifestyle because at all times, your brain is thinking and you are thinking about your learner. You are also learning at the same time because you have to be sure of what you're going to teach next day. So, any concept, anything that's there, you have to be prepared for even that last question that can be asked by the child. So, and they are so inquisitive these days. They are so well aware these days. So teaching, till the time you are not heart and soul into it, you will not become a good teacher. You will not become the best teacher. You can become a teacher, you can go in the class, you can impart the lesson, but definitely, you cannot make that that mark in the life of that child.
Yes.
So I think, and it's not only today. When we say nowadays it's become like a lifestyle, teaching was always like this. If you talk to your parents, I have heard many stories from my father about different teachers who have touched his life, through his life. And they have made a mark. Why? Because they were not there just as teachers. They were there as mentors. They could bring out the best out of him, whichever way. So I think teaching is a lifestyle, and it was a lifestyle from the very beginning.
Ma'am, I firmly believe that I may call myself Anushri, you may call yourself Mrs. Roy, but we are not that. We are an amalgamation of all the people we have met in our lives. They've rubbed themselves on us. We have learned from them, good, bad also. So do you have such people in your life whom you have rubbed on of the most?
Positive, negative?
Positive.
Yes. So I would say that first of all, my father, because my whole philosophy, my values, everything comes from him, because he has been a mentor throughout. And after that, in my professional life, it's my director, the Shriram Schools, Mrs. Manika Sharma ma'am. She has been one mentor who has, at any point of time, wherever I had a dilemma, wherever I faced a problem, no matter, she was the director of the school. She was the principal first when I joined, and then she became the director. She was so approachable, and today also when I'm sitting here, anything that I feel what I should be doing in this situation, I somehow get guidance from her. Because I think of her sitting in that situation, and knowing her since so long, I know that, she would have done this. So I think all my mentors there were great. And apart from that, I think, a particular person, if I have to talk about, my sister. So yes, your family, your sister,
They all,
parents, they
yeah.
are all there.
Emma bolte na, once a teacher, always a teacher.
Yeah.
So even in their absence, they're always guiding us.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
So
I
ma'am,
think, yeah.
बहुत serious बातें हो गई. I can see you're getting emotional also. So let's come to the fun part of the talk. I'll ask you small questions.
Okay.
And you can answer them in one word or maybe a phrase.
Okay.
So it's going to be quick. I will not be giving you too much time to think. And that's okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So if not an educator, what would you be?
Doctor.
Okay. A subject that you would like to include in the curriculum.
I'll talk about junior school. Okay. So there was something called needlework, that we had needlework. So we had Amrinda ma'am at the Shriram school who had started this. And I felt that was one thing that actually got the children to sit down, those young students. And there was a lot of hand-eye coordination and also a life skill, and then creativity for sure. So, and those needles are very thick, and those mats, so safety also.
Yeah.
So I think needlework is one thing. Second thing that I would want them to something on public speaking. Like, my next goal is to get TED talks to my children. So right from the very beginning, I want to train them on public speaking.
Wonderful, wonderful. Speaking is said to be the biggest fear.
Absolutely.
On the list of fears, it comes before dying. Yeah, actually. So people would rather, die than speak in public. So wonderful if you're taking that as an initiative.
Till date, we feel scared. I'm on the mic.
So ma'am, AI and tech in education. Your thoughts on that?
See, AI is one thing.
Let's talk about AI then, just AI.
So AI is something that again is a tool, a fabulous tool. And if I talk of AI, generative AI is one step further, and so it's a great tool. Again, it has to be used in the correct way.
Wisely.
So, it has to be used very wisely and sparingly also, because sometimes what happens that, for children, if we are introducing it to students, again, it's something you cannot stop. It is there, and children must have explored it even before you explored it. So it's there for them and they know about it. Now you have to find the tools to figure out whether whatever they've submitted is done using AI or it's their original work. So I think again, middle path has to be found where there is creativity, there is your personal creation, where you take help from AI to make it better as an assistant. Don't make it your master again. So you are going to AI for anything and everything. Like, these days there are these AIs which can make painting for you, they can make songs for you, they can make rap songs and everything. And we always used to ask the children to make it themselves because that's how they imbibed the thing. So I think for younger children, for very young students, it should not be used. For elder ones, you cannot stop it. So you have to find ways as teachers and as a school administrator that how they use it sparingly and in the best possible way. Ethically, right. So even for teachers, sometimes what happens, mindlessly you just make something out of it. It can be a lesson plan or whatever. Till the time you've not put your ideas, because the prompts that you keep giving, it keeps getting better based on what exactly you're looking at. Until the time you have not found out what exactly you're looking at and you've not gone through the thing and then you've not realized, no, this does not work for my child, my children, then you rework. So ultimately it is an AI generated thing, but there is a lot of originality to it.
Yeah. And that's how it should be.
Yes. So we will have to think of some ways. So we have to outsmart our younger generation to find out. Like my son says that, nowadays there are these tools which can in 1 second tell that, whatever you've submitted, any research work or whatever, is done through AI. So there are those tools also. Yeah.
So ma'am, other than school assessments, what other exposure do you give your children?
Okay, so school assessment, I would call assessment is a tool where which is going to tell the teacher what went wrong, what went right, and all that. So we, again, when we say multiple intelligences, when we say differentiated learning, our assessment also is quite differentiated. So where we have, it's not always in written format or a verbal format. It can be a drawing, it can be a skit, it can be a quiz, it can be a Kahoot, it can be, whatever. So there are multiple ways of assessing, even when you are doing a collaborative work, sitting with your peers on a particular project. So projects we try and do in school only. So that, the learning that the child gets out of it, project work is effective only when children do it here. So that's the assessment is ongoing. The teacher is at all times assessing not the child, but the understanding, and through that working on his or her own method of teaching or strategies that she needs to use. So assessment is a completely ongoing process, and we introduce them to formal assessment also gradually. So anything and everything that we introduce to the child is done keeping in mind the readiness of the child, mental, physical, emotional, whatever. So we introduce them to simple assessment methods that the teachers know that they're assessing, the children don't know that they're being assessed. Then slowly they move on to little senior class where they get these dictations or simple spell quizzes or whatever. Slowly and then they get into the cycle tests, and then finally when they go to the middle school, then examination system also. So it's a gradual process of introducing them to formal assessment too, and that's.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And I have one last, not a question, but I really want you to share one piece of advice for parents.
Okay, so parents, I would request you to learn to say no. No to your child. Because nowadays what's happening is that we are saying yes to everything. And everything is so instant that that instant gratification is something that the child is always looking for. So whatever they want it right at that moment. So it's okay to say no. Because when you say no, when you deprive of them for something with a reason, they would always understand and they would always value whatever they get. And there have to be always those boundaries set for them, because sometimes as parents, I've been meeting some young parents. They say that if we stop the child from doing a certain thing, the child would feel that, my parent does not love me or whatever. That's not the case. Being a teacher, being a parent, I'll tell you, your children come back to you saying that, I am thankful to you. You stopped me from doing this that time. Now I'm realizing why you stopped. So please learn to say no sometimes.
And ma'am, any parting words for the audience?
I think I can only say that the process of life is learn, unlearn, relearn. Let's follow that, each one of us. And that's how we are going to become better versions of ourselves. And we realize why we are here in this world, the purpose of our life.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your time, for your wisdom, for sharing your experience. It was lovely having to be here with you today.
So much. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We were in a great conversation with ma'am, and we've learned a lot. We are taking away a lot of learning today. So thank you for staying up with us till the end. Sign up for more.